Leave your comments on the Ask Reddit sub, and I'll read your answers on the next episode of LWIAR. What's the dumbest thing you actually believe? As a kid, my sister told me that we had an older brother that died. She said he died when playing bowling and his fingers didn't come out the ball and slid all the way down the alley, then he turned into a skittle. People shouldn't joke about having dead kids. They're basically 10-pin fate. Turned himself into a skittle, Morty. Funniest split I've ever seen. He turned into a skittle, odd turn of events. Skittle is another word for bowling pin, if that makes more sense. OMG, that line in 7th Harry Potter book makes so much more sense now. It was something like the Death Eaters fell about like Skittles, and I was like, J.K. Rowling must have been eating candy when she wrote that line. Edit. I just realized that might be the dumbest thing I've ever believed, lol. That must be the UK version. In America it says they fell about like Reese's Pieces. Well, they're hog weirdos, so it might as well say fell about like himblidink honey gobblers. Everlasting sweet munchkins. You never know when advertising can creep in. Death Eaters fell like Skittles. Voldemort, you're not you when you're hungry. Have a Snickers. Harry's arm bones crack like a Twix bar. Lol, yes it does. In America it is the name of a candy. Till. Wait, do you call them pins then? Edit. That's quite a lot of karma. Yes. Same lol. Same lol. I call them pins. He said and sighed, and shook his head and softly cried, and stretched his arms to God above, and laughed with light and life and love, and sobbed with joy and open tears, and open hope and dreams and fears. For all that was, and all that would, and all that will, and all that could, and all because the word was fair. The word was good. The word was there. I call them pins. He wiped an eye. She softly whispered, so do I. Well, it is 10-pin bowling. So yeah. You Yanks are missing out on our 10 Skittle Knocky Rollies then. I feel like you're making that up. Brits could say just about any kind of slang words and I wouldn't know if they were making it up or not. I used to think that people exclusively wore hats if they were bald. Because that's why my dad wore a hat. Oh, I thought my dad couldn't read for too long. He never read me bedtime stories. Always tired from working all day. The fact that he was reading newspapers all the time didn't really connect. He was just looking at the funnies, as he probably called them. My dad is bald but has always had a beard. Since I've known him, anyway. He was also a serviceman. He used to tell me that the reason he was bald was that he stood on a landmine which blew the hair off the top of his head and it slipped around to give him the beard instead. As a child I was just like, yep, makes sense. Hair not on head, hair and chin. That's gravity for ya. He also told me that a scar on his leg was from a gunshot wound. 20 years later I got a bug bite on my leg. That got infected. Sorry. Hope you're not eating. And left a perfectly round scar in the same place as his. I commented on how much my bug bite scar looked like his gunshot wound scar and he said, what? Is that what I told you? No. This was a bug bite that got infected. Ah, Dad. Ha ha ha, that reminds me of my dad. Navy. Telling me a scar on his arm was from a sword fight with pirates. Totally fell for it. Edit. Just also remembered it backfired on him. Of course I told all the neighborhood kids with great pride and excitement. He totally had the piss taken out of him by the neighborhood dads down the local pub when their kids all went home asking their dads if they'd fought pirates to tears of joy. That reindeer wasn't an actual animal but specifically a mythical animal that Santa Claus used. I believed this until I was 23 or so when I saw some nature documentary talking about reindeer. I was like, fuck. It blows my mind how many people thought narwhals were mythical creatures. What was your reaction when you saw a flock of reindeer take off for the first time? I saw a flock of moosen. The reverse unicorn. Alex Santa and Mrs. Claus's favorite position. I thought that was going up the chimney. More so naive and innocent rather than dumb but still funny. My dad used to tell us kids that a dwarf little person worked in and operated every car park barrier in the world. Every time he drove up to one he'd press the button for the ticket and say, cheers mate. How's the wife? and fake a conversation as he waited for the barrier to open. Lol. That's fantastic. He sounds like a great dad. Did he do this at ATMs too? Sounds like the nickname all my ex-girlfriends had for me. If I had more upvotes to give, you would get them all. This reminds me of another stupid thing I believed. When I was in middle school, I watched a documentary about Gothic churches. I believed that goth was a religion. I asked a couple goth friends at the time about their religion. They played along for a while that day, until finally I realized they were laughing at me. I later realized Gothic is describing the architecture of the church. My friends never let me live that one down. I mean, there are some modern pagans these days that still worship the Greek pantheon. Yep, I'm not one, but they exist on the flip side. Our high school classical culture class, where we learned Latin and about Greek and Roman history, made it sound like there were no pagans at all anymore. This was in the late 90s or early 00s. I remember watching black crap drip down the Ultimate Warrior's face, because of a voodoo spell Papa Shango put on him. That scared me when I was little. Even a large number of adults at one point believed pro wrestling was real. Some probably still do. It's still real to me, damn it. A year later, he got scheduled for an arranged marriage. A month before, we went on a road trip starting from Las Vegas and ended up the California coast. San Francisco. Took him to 2 strip clubs. At the beginning, he's smirking about the other guys spending money on lap dances. At the end of the night, he saw some brown-skinned stripper and wanted money for a private lap dance with her. He said to me that this was his last chance in life to see this stuff. So I gave him the money. He had a smile when he came back, apparently telling me the stripper's life story because he was conversing with her all during the lap dance. Was sort of sweet. To be fair, in 1998 The Undertaker did throw mankind off Hell in a Cell and plummeted 16 feet through an announcer's table. This comment is just crappy, no morph. Mate, just look it up. You can't deny that. And even though the end results were most probably rigged, falling 16 feet on a freaking table from a metal cage, that crap has to hurt no matter how much you are getting paid. There were also matches where people were thrown on barbed wire, pins, hit with freaking metal ladders and all this stuff. Yeah, they agreed on who will win beforehand. But you can't just fake blood, bruises and broken bones happening live. When you get kicked in the chin by HBK, you did just get kicked in the chin by HBK. No way around that. I take it you've never seen a post by you shitty morph that the Great Wall of China had a cat adoption program. I was meeting my friend's boyfriend for the first time, and he mentioned that he had just adopted one of the retired Great Wall of China cats. China trains these cats to patrol the wall and kill vermin, and at the end of their 7-year stint they are retired and adopted out to a forever home. I kept asking questions about it. How do you apply? Are they a specific breed? How do they get transported worldwide? In the end, he told me that he made the whole thing up because my friend had told him I was really gullible and wanted to see how far he could push it. But he didn't think I'd get so enthused. The worst part, I was in my mid-20s at the time. Edit. Thanks for the awards, lovelies. Also, just thought I'd address some of the comments and clarify that my friend is actually a really sweet person. She's stood up for me many times when people have been cruel or insulting. It was an innocent prank, and I'm okay with taking the piss out of myself. I kinda hate people who do that, to be honest. It's like, haha, tricked you. I told you something you have absolutely no reason to disbelieve. Gosh, you're so gullible. Like, yeah, I guess trusting my friends not to lie to me for no reason is gullible now? It's not actually that far-fetched. The British government has an official title of Chief Mouser to the Cabinet Office, which is held by a cat. As the title suggests, the cat is employed to keep 10 Downing Street free of mice. There's been cats around Parliament for half a millennium, but the title is a modern invention. I'm not making this up. The current one is called Larry. Can confirm, we love Larry more than we've ever liked anyone in our entire parliamentary history. Larry gets a credit on media upload sites when he wanders round outside number 10. Can I see a picture? Should be plenty pictures on here, my friend. Also potentially videos if you filter. I'm on mobile, so hopefully this works. This cat has a better written Wikipedia article than a lot of people. The amount of dead serious evaluative narration describing the time he has spent in his office as being so wrought with controversy regarding his mousing abilities is freaking hilarious. And www.gov.uk, Larry spends his days greeting guests to the house, inspecting security defences and testing antique furniture for napping quality. His day-to-day responsibilities also include contemplating a solution to the mouse occupancy of the house. Larry says this is still in tactical planning stage. I guess the standards of living for the average cat hasn't peaked and reached its prime yet. And here he is with Obama. From the wiki, David Cameron has said that Larry is a bit nervous around men, speculating that, since Larry was a rescue cat, this may be due to negative experiences in his past. Cameron mentioned that U.S. President Barack Obama is an apparent exception to this fear. He said, funnily enough, he liked Obama. Obama gave him a stroke and he was all right with Obama. Man, some people have strokes and are all left afterwards. This made my day. Any word on what his reaction to Trump was? Edit. Oh my god, he caused a delay to his schedule by refusing to move out from under Trump's limo. He later tweeted, if President Trump tries to grab this pussy, then you'll find out it's got claws. Would love to see Larry try and grab that pussy. When I was a little kid, I believed that when people got divorced, they had a divorce ceremony. Like where they had to go to church and say, I don't, and I imagined the woman wore a black divorce dress. Like her wedding dress had been dyed black. And that everybody went to the reception where the ex-bride and ex-groom sat on opposite sides of the hall, and there was a divorce cake where the little bride and groom on top had their backs to each other with their arms angrily crossed. I eventually learned, from watching my mom's soap operas, that this was not the case, and was kind of disappointed cause I'd been to a few weddings by then, and was interested in what a divorce ceremony was like. I'm a divorce lawyer and I want this to happen so bad. I would be a guaranteed invite to probably all the divorce ceremonies. Can these exist? Only in couples that split amicably. In instances of cheating, abuse, and tense legal conflict and hard feelings, which are incredibly common, even when relationships were good. I can't foresee this becoming a tradition. That douche Brad cheated on you. If I were you, I'd key his car. I'm waiting for after the divorce ceremony. I want good photos for Instagram. Then I'll frick his crap up. My dog went to a farm. Until I was 35. Until I was 35. Is that when it came back? I had 2 turtles for over 10 years until I went off to college. My mom told me she found a turtle lady that takes in unwanted turtles and that they live in a nice big pond area in her backyard. Believed her because my mom isn't the type to lie. A few years later I started to question it though because of the pet sent to a farm stories I'd heard other people tell. I confronted my mom about it and she maintained that she told the truth. I did some digging and found out that there actually was a turtle lady in our city. I went for a visit and sure enough, my turtles were there, along with a ton of others. So I guess sometimes these stories have a happy ending. My mom actually is a turtle lady. And the whole time I was growing up people would bring us turtles and tortoises and crap and my mom would take them in. Most of the time she would go on to find other homes for them. But there are still like half a dozen or so tortoises in the backyard. And she still takes turtles in, but for the most part it's all slowed down. That's funny because my dog did actually do and live on a farm. Who's going to tell them? Edit. How is a joke about a dead dog not only my highest rated comment, but also recipient of several awards? When I was little, I genuinely believed the Teletubbies were evil and that if I didn't watch them on TV every night, even though I hated the show, that they would come and get me. To be fair though, they're kind of creepy. But what will happen when you stop? Well, eventually I stopped watching it because I realized that wasn't true. Your funeral. I thought that teachers lived at school. I had a teacher that had a blanket in the back of her classroom and a mini fridge, and this only further elucidated my hypothesis. Edit. I'm sorry I used the wrong word. Thanks for watching LWIAR. The best of recent r/AskReddit submissions and comments. If you like this video, check out LWIAR too. And don't forget to like and subscribe.